you know, I do believe some form of government is needed, not in an oppressive standover sense, but one to look after the major things we as the general populace can't do ourselves for the benefit of all society. Examples would be building and maintaining roads, overseeing funding for healthcare, education, police peacekeepers, military, etc. So in other words, I don't mean repairing a road to a local politician's property or spending over $1 million on upgrading an outdoor local swimming pool which only some use and only gets used half a year, and you still have to pay to get in. Both of these things have happened in my local area. I'm sure you could share similar stories. What I mean are things that are good for all, whether it be on a local level like libraries, where anyone can access papers, magazines, books or the internet for free in a town, to a more macro level like upgrading and servicing the region's hospitals. I know they do other things like dick around with our lives by creating new legislation that is built around either letting corporations pay less or we pay more, but really, apart from shafting the people, they should be just shoveling tax money to the appropriate area. Imagine my shocked dismay then, when I find that this year, and by that I mean every year, that phrase won't date this video, they have voted once again for their own pay rise. Being that they are meant to be working for the taxpayer, you would think they might negotiate with us. I would sure like to go up to my boss and say, "Oh, by the way, I just told myself I get a pay rise again this year. Let payroll know, will you? I think, I don't know, 5% should suffice." So now the Prime Minister earns over $500,000. Bugger, I just dated the video. Oh, the average cabinet minister earns over $350,000 and a backbencher over $200,000. Add to this all the expenses they claim, sometimes as much as their salary, and the fact that if they leave office most get payments for life regardless of what they do afterwards, and that's a tidy sum. My point here is, surely, if you are working in a humble capacity for the good of the country's people, you should earn just the median wage. How can you make decisions for the citizens when you earn an unrealistic wage to most of those you represent? How can you make decisions for pensioners on how much is a living wage when you are earning over $350,000 and they're asking for an increase to maybe 20? Not to mention the amount politicians receive in backhanders from corporations, and I have to ask, where is the incentive for them to even give a shit about those they claim to represent? The same of course can be said for the corporate world. CEOs get millions while those actually doing the work at the front end to allow them to get that are lucky to get even a living wage, which is why you can ask a Target or Kmart employee these days where an item is while standing in front of it snickering, and watch them with a strange feeling of disbelief and amusement as you get an answer like, "I'm not sure we sell that, I'll just check on the computer." This is all because the staff that had stuck out their job for as long as they did because of the friends they made and worked with on the job eventually left when their colleagues left one by one after getting shafted in one way or another, taking with them the store knowledge and the jokey happiness they infused into customers along the way. Middle management couldn't give a shit about these intangibles because their jobs were still secure and they could just hire more, albeit inexperienced staff, unfortunately not realizing there was no one to hand down any experience about stock or customer service, because middle management are just there now to pass the shit downhill. And as long as it saves the company money for the next CEO's next pay rise, the customers can grope around the store to find the stuff themselves. And hey, that's a win-win, right? They get to aimlessly pass by more stuff they might purchase, but really all the while they get more and more pissed off with the brand because of the lack of help and the feeling they are just a wallet or purse on two legs. But hey, more intangibles the store can't shove into KPIs for staff, so it doesn't exist, does it? Then the stores start to bitch and complain that people are buying things online and their profits are going down, and lobby government to help. More backhanders for the government stooges then, and round we go. Customer service has been replaced by our own reviews about products online. Staff in stores are being replaced by self-checkouts, and pretty soon the stores will have a person at the door to check who beeps, a couple of counters for disseminating poor information and filling shelves, maybe a bit of checkout service, and lastly self-checkouts. Oh wait, that's my local store now. Anyway, I'll finish by sharing an interesting part of a debate on the Australian show called Q&A from a couple of years ago. I think it was called the Magna Carta. This chat was between Luca Belgiorno Nettis, Managing Director of Transfield Holdings, and then politician and Speaker of the House Bronwyn Bishop just before her downfall. It seems interesting to see not only a refreshing take on how governments might work differently, but also Bronwyn humorously declaring to not want what the government actually is, a small group telling other people what to think.
I don't understand why we can't look to have something like that as a citizen senate, where people can come, 150 randomly selected citizens, as a trialled upper house, where people come rotated every 2 or 3 years. It's a paid service, national services. I bet you most people, if they were given that opportunity in this great hall and across Australia, would jump at that opportunity to see how we could make Australia great.
If you heed the words of Winston Churchill, that democracy is the most chaotic, and I'm paraphrasing, chaotic, messy system of government you could possibly have.
It's the worst system of government apart from all those who have been tried before.
You're quoting it better than I am.
Words, and I say, let's try something new.
Well, I'll say to you, I think it's the best thing we've got going at this stage. And quite frankly, Luca, I don't want to be told by a selected group what I must think.
And I think that is...